Psalm 56, beautiful little psalm, and a psalm that I think we need. It's a psalm, again, of David in trouble with enemies attacking him, and he's crying out to God. So it's according to the dove on far-off terebinths. That's the name of the tune. Maybe you know it. I don't, sorry, so I can't sing it to you. But it's a miktam of David when the Philistines seized him in Gath. And so he begins, launches right in, "Be gracious to me, O God, for man tramples on me. All day long an attacker oppresses me. My enemies trample on me all day long, for many attack me proudly." Now notice what he does in verses 3 and 4. When I am afraid, you're going to see that term repeated here. I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust. I shall not be afraid. It's the contrast between fear and trust in God. Fear of circumstance, fear of man, fear of enemies, versus trust in God. And if God can be trusted, then what can flesh do to me? You see the connection between those two thoughts. I was going to take us straight to verse 11 and show how the statement about God leads on to the statement about fear and about humanity. But then I looked again and I saw that actually we've got the same thoughts already stated right at the start of the psalm. When something like that is presented early and then it comes again a few verses later, you have to take notice of it. It's what the psalm is trying to communicate. Drop down towards the bottom. This I know, that God is for me. So in God, whose word I praise, in the Lord, whose word I praise, in God I trust. I shall not be afraid. What can man do to me? There's that question. You see, in light of who God is, therefore, continuing beyond that, I don't need to fear. Now, it's interesting when you look at this psalm and you read it through, it's easy to think, well, God can be trusted because God is powerful and God is strong and God can take our enemies, right? He's bigger than the one that's threatening us. That's always the case. But it's interesting to note just before this, the nature of the connection between David and God. He doesn't just speak of God's biceps or of God's power. Of course, that would be completely appropriate. God is more powerful than any enemy that can come against us. But notice the tenderness of verse 8. You have kept count of my tossings. As I've lain on my bed, rolling around, unable to sleep, just terrorized by fears and circumstance, God has kept count of that. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Then my enemies will turn back in the day when I call. This I know, that God is for me. You see the tenderness of this verse here at the top of the screen, verse 8. It's not just that God is powerful, therefore we trust him. It's that he dearly loves us, that he cares intimately for those who are his, that every tear that we cry, he keeps track of it. He keeps it in his bottle. Keeps track of the rolling around at night, unable to sleep, the fretful moments that just blur one into the other. God keeps track of all of that because he loves his people with an incredible intensity. And so it's the combination, isn't it, of that love as well as, of course, the power and strength and the supremacy of God. All of that working together means that if my trust is in God, I shall not be afraid. What can man do to me? From the weakest to the most powerful, to the most sinister, to the most evil man on the planet, what can he do to me? I'm trusting in God. And not only is he bigger, but he really cares. Psalm 56 is an absolute gem. Please read it. Please ponder it, pray it through, and then think who would really benefit from Psalm 56 and share it with them. Feel free to add comments below, and we'll see you next time for the next Psalm.